Today we're making some super cute ghost couples hot chocolate bombs. Hi there foodie friends, my name is Carly and welcome back to my channel Adventures in Yum. We start by melting about a couple cups or so of white vanilla melting wafers in short increments in the microwave until completely melted. If the melts are still a bit thick, you can add a tiny amount of vegetable oil to thin them into a better consistency like this. We then add some melted wafers to each well of our ghost mold. Once they're completely full, tap the mold on the counter to release air bubbles because this will result in a better finished product. After it appears that no more air bubbles are rising to the surface, flip the mold upside down and shake the mold to allow the melts to flow either onto parchment paper or back into the melting wafer bowl. Once it seems like most of the excess melts are out of the mold, we use an offset spatula to clean off the excess melts from the top of the mold. We then place our mold in the fridge or freezer for about 5 minutes to allow them to harden. We then add more melts to each well and repeat the process to create a second layer of melts. I usually use a spoon or food brush to add the second layer, but I decided to try the same method that we used for the first layer this time. We let that chill either at room temperature or in the fridge or freezer for another 5 minutes or so. Once they're completely set, we add our hot chocolate powder. These are very small, so there's only room for about 2 teaspoons or so of hot chocolate powder in each ghost. Next, we add a little bit of melted vanilla wafers onto the hot chocolate powder in each well. I like to use a spoon to gently move the melts around so that they completely cover the hot chocolate powder, which ensures that the hot chocolate bombs are completely sealed. I also sometimes like to tap the mold a little bit at this stage to release any air bubbles before we pop this back in the fridge or freezer for another 5 minutes or so. We then carefully separate the sides of the hot chocolate bomb from the mold and then pop them out of the mold. Using some edible paint, such as the Poppy Black edible paint that I'm using here, and a food brush, we delicately color in the eyes and mouth of the ghosts. Before we finish our adorable ghost hot chocolate bombs for Valentine's Day, if you are getting value out of this video, then please make sure to hit that like button, click subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified about my latest video. Finally, here's how we easily customize these ghost hot chocolate bombs for Valentine's Day. For the guys, we take 2 heart sprinkles of the same color, and using a tiny bit of candy melts, we adhere the heart sprinkles to the ghost a little bit below the mouth to create an adorable bow tie. We want to make sure that the pointed ends of the hearts just touch to make it look like the center of a bow. To go an extra step with the guys, you can even make super cute little top hats using some black candy melts and Rolos. We start by melting some black candy melts and then adding some to a piece of parchment paper and smoothing it out to make it as even as possible. We let that set while we slightly thin the remaining black candy melts with a tiny bit of vegetable oil. Once it's a nice coating consistency like this, we add a Rolo, completely coat it in the melts, and remove it with a fork so that the smaller end is on the bottom and the larger end is on top. After shaking off the excess candy melts, we carefully place the Rolo on a piece of parchment paper. Here I move the Rolo a little bit on the parchment paper so that some of the excess melts would come off the bottom. This results in a cleaner look because there's less chance of the melts pooling at the bottom. For the flat candy melts, we cut them with a small round cutter. Here I'm actually using the large end of a Wilton 1A piping tip to cut a few circles. We then add a little bit of black candy melts to the middle of a circle and put the Rolo on top. Once it sets, we have a basic top hat. While we can certainly stick the top hat onto the hot chocolate bomb as is, an additional step that we can do is to remove the center of the candy melts on the bottom of the top hat. I did this by heating the small end of a Wilton 1A piping tip and pressing it into the candy melts, but not too far to start melting the Rolo. Next, using a paring knife, we can carefully remove the rest of the center and let the candy melt set. Finally, we use a little bit of candy melts to adhere the top hat to the ghost head, and our fancy guy ghost hot chocolate bomb is complete. For our gal ghost hot chocolate bombs, we're taking 2 heart sprinkles of the same color and adding a bow on the side of the head. We add a tiny dot of vanilla melting wafers and then carefully add a heart sprinkle so that it's on its side. Once the candy melts have set just enough for the sprinkle to stay, repeat the process with the second sprinkle. Make sure to be careful when getting the sprinkles close together because it's very easy to accidentally bump the other one and pop it off. Once the candy melts and both sprinkles have set, our Gal Ghost hot chocolate bomb is complete. And here's our adorable ghost couple's Valentine hot chocolate bombs. What do you think of them? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments if you give these a try and how you like them. If you're interested in checking out some of the products I used in this video, then please make sure to check out that video description below for some of their Amazon links. Thank you so much for joining me today, foodie friends. I'll see you next time for another yummy adventure.